Time now for Power in Politics, and the New York State budget is late, more than a week late at that. Tonight, CBS 6's Tom Eschen is going to continue our coverage. He's sitting down with a policy analyst to break it all down for us. Good evening, Tom.
Thank you very much. And this late budget, nothing new for the Hochul administration. Actually, just about an hour ago, she laid out why the budget's been late and some of the policies she's passed when the budget has gone late, saying that was a good thing for New Yorkers. Tonight, we analyze how this process is playing out and if that is indeed good for New York State. Blair Horner joins us right now, the Senior Policy Advisor with NYPIRG. Blair, thank you so much for coming out with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with the state budget, elephant in the room. It is late once again. I'll ask my first question, is this process working under Kathy Hochul?
Well, I mean, it depends how you look at it, right? So from the governor's perspective, it works because she jams up the end of the session with policy initiatives, usually not really connected to the budget, and hoping to get those initiatives. She gets some of what she wants. And so every year that she's been governor, it's been the same tried and true formula for her. Wait until the last minute, push some new policy initiatives in, and try to get some victories out of that. She has more leverage in the budget process than lawmakers do. They know that, and so it's a good time for her to push.
That's something that makes New York a little bit, I guess, unique, you could say, compared to some other states where the governor really holds the power of not just the purse, but the policy in this, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's two things that make New York different. One is an April 1st beginning of fiscal year. It's the earliest in the country. And that the governor has this sort of ability to put policy into the budget in a way that forces lawmakers with basically a Roman amphitheater, thumbs up or thumbs down approach to whatever she advances. It's hard for them to negotiate. They're the junior partners when it comes to these negotiations.
So what is April 1st in your estimation?
Well, it is April Fool's Day, and there's certainly an element of that, I think, in the whole thing. It shows that the people who thought this all up back in the day had a sense of humor. So April 1st, I mean, from the public's perspective, of course, it's a loser, right? The public expects lawmakers to do what they're supposed to be doing. They are, after all, public servants that are there to represent the interests of the people who elected them. And so they're supposed to get the budget done by April 1st. They're not supposed to play these games. So I think it just turns the public off, feeds public cynicism. That's all bad all by itself. But in terms of like the impact on people's lives, as long as the budget's within a month, really, of April 1st, people usually don't feel it.
Yeah, and you mentioned, I did ask her, I said, why do you have April 1st as a deadline if you have no timeline? And she said, I'm in no rush. Her answer was, ask our forefathers. So you alluded to that perfectly here. And you mentioned the impact here, unless it goes past a month, really, it's a perception issue at the end of the day. And do you think that drives any of the negotiations, the perception issue of the timeline here?
Yeah, I mean, the legislature doesn't like to get pushed around, right? So they have to show that they can't be pushed around. And one of the ways they do that is by not agreeing to what the governor wants to do and forcing her to negotiate. So, I mean, where does the barometer, go to too hot? That's really the question. And so in terms of how it plays out, for most people in New York, unless you're somehow relying on services the government provides and there's a hiccup in the funding, by and large, people don't feel it. In the old days, when the budgets were really late and they were going to the summer, then you would feel it with school district votes. You have to vote on a budget, and then there was no state appropriation for schools. And so that really did lead to problems in terms of how New Yorkers lived. But this sort of it's just like another Albany story, I think, in most people's minds.
There was the legislation proposed by Carl Hastie, the Speaker of the Assembly, that would let the lawmakers be paid. Right now, they're not paid as the budget is late. The governor is paid. That would let the lawmakers be paid after the budget deadline if the governor puts late policy in there. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, there's two parts of it. One is, should they be getting paid or not paid if the budget's late? I mean, I don't know why they agreed to this deal in the first place where the governor still gets paid and they don't. I mean, that doesn't seem like a smart play to me. But it's been like that for a long time, and it really goes back to the days when the budget was super late and people wanted something to happen. But the idea that the Speaker has about tying it to these policy initiatives that the governor jams at the last minute, I mean, the problem is it sounds good until you start thinking about, well, who's going to make that determination? Who calls balls and strikes when it comes to this policy is not relevant to the budget, but that one is? I think it'd be a cleaner argument for him to make if he just said, we should just get paid, just like the governor does, or the governor doesn't get paid if we don't.
Is that a performatory legislation pose? Is that something she'd ever sign at the end of the day?
Well, I mean, you are asking the wrong person for the answer to that question. I mean, the public probably feels more like in the torches and pitchforks view of how the budget being late, people should be punished. So I don't think it's a public relations winner for them. But again, if it were up to me and I were the speaker, I'd be advocating for one of the two choices. One is, why shouldn't we get paid if you do? And if we're not, why should you? And so again, but I'm not in the magic wand category, nor am I an elected official. It is a hand that they have to play.
That full conversation, we talk much more, get much deeper into that, will be available tomorrow morning, first thing, as a Power in Politics podcast. And then you can watch our show tomorrow night, 10:30 on the CW, and then on Saturday at 11:30 p.m. on CBS 6. Back to you, JT.
All right, Tom Eschen, thanks very much. Don't forget, you can listen to our Power in Politics podcast every week. Scan the QR code on your screen. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.